Good morning. I guess we're still in the morning, Zach. Hey guys, I'm Jillian Jacuzzi. I'm the Director of Marketing and PR here at Easterseals Arkansas, and I am here with Zach Lyons. He's our Senior Director of Community Living, and we're here today to discuss CES Waiver. CES stands for Community and Employment Support. What you learned today is what is Waiver, who's it for, who can it benefit, and how can how can we serve you through Waiver? I'm going to hand it over to Zach now, who's the expert. He's going to introduce himself, his role, and then he's going to teach us all about Waiver.
Thanks, Jillian, and hello, everyone. Welcome to this presentation. I know hopefully this will be very beneficial for you, and look forward to sharing as much information as we can to educate you and your families. So my name is Zach Lyons. I'm the Senior Director of Community Services here at Easterseals, Arkansas. What my role is I support actually 3 programs, but the main program we're going to talk about today is the CES Waiver Program, and the director for that program. So looking forward to sharing more about that.
All right. So we're ready to dive right into the presentation.
Let's do it.
All right, everyone, I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me. Okay. All right, here we go. And it's not the right page.
It's always how it seems to go.
Let's
sometimes.
back up.
Yeah,
everyone.
Rewind a little bit.
All right, there we go.
Remember the be kind and please rewind.
Right.
So, all right, that shows my age a little bit. So like Jillian said, CES Waiver, it stands for Community and Employment Supports Waiver Services. So the purpose of CES Waiver, it is a home and community-based program that allows individuals to live independently with a wide array of services and supports in the community of their choice.
And that choice is a big thing for us.
Absolutely. So just kind of give some brief backgrounds of like Easterseals, what we do and what the impact is and the impact of Medicaid waiver. So we have in the state currently about nearly 5,700 individuals receiving CES waiver services across the state. And here in the Pulaski County and Central Arkansas area, there's actually about, of that 5,700, there's nearly 2,000 or just under 1,800 individuals that are being currently served through CES waiver. So Easterseals, we are involved with those. We do have a percentage of those that we are serving, and we are steadily growing, especially expanding statewide. And it's due to the fact of people learning more about CES waiver. So, Shelley, we'll go on to the next slide.
Move on. All right.
So, what is CES waiver? So, first off, before we kind of get into the slide, it is a lot of times people call it as the hidden gem of Arkansas. A lot of people don't know about it and what it is. A long time ago, I was the same type of individual. Somebody called me and said, "Hey, you need to come work for this company. We do CES waiver. We do waiver services." And I said, "What is waiver?" And they said, "Well, you'll figure it out. Just come on." And so that's how I found my way into it. But Medicaid waiver, we need to think about, let's think about insurance for a second. So all of you are familiar with private insurance that you may receive from your employer. That's your primary insurance. Then, depending on your needs and abilities, you may have, after private insurance, there's Medicare. After Medicare, there's Medicaid. And so you have these different insurance entities that work and sometimes work together and sometimes don't work so well together. But before you can access Medicaid, you should have had the ability, if you have the ability to access private insurance, if you have that, or Medicare, and then whatever those don't cover, then Medicaid comes into place. After Medicaid is Medicaid waiver. So Medicaid waiver is the payer of last resort, and that's one of the big key phrases that you'll hear as you continue to go through Medicaid waiver, as you apply and get on those type of services. Is a provider like ourselves at Easterseals, we have to show that at times when we're requesting services that we have exhausted all of the resources where the individual has, and this is why they need this service. And so, and usually that is because other insurances will not provide that type of coverage. So what type of coverage are we talking about? Well, the biggest thing that we provide in CES waiver services is that supported living services. And what that is that in-home and community-based caregiver. So if you've ever, if you had a relative or maybe a grandparent who had they may have called it in-home health, or a caregiver that came in the home and helped them to continue to be in an independent setting and staying out of a nursing type facility, that's similar to what supported living services is. The purpose of supported living services is for that. It could be either a one-to-one caregiver, so one caregiver to one individual, or maybe some cases where it's one caregiver to a couple of individuals. But they are there to address the needs of that individual to help them with their independent living skills in the home, their activities of daily living, but also to access their community. Go to the grocery store, go see a movie, go to a ball game, that to help them access and do what they would like to do in a natural setting. So that is the most common service that we provide. A lot of our individuals seek supported living services because that a lot of you may find is we have a lot of natural supports or familial caregivers that, with all due respect, they need a break. They need to have an opportunity to go and maybe run to the grocery store themselves, but they can't leave their loved one at home alone. So that's just a brief example of what supported living services can do. So it helps the natural supports associated with that beneficiary, but the caregiver, or what we call the direct support professional, helps that individual with their own needs too. So we're not a babysitting service. We're not a housekeeping service. The intent is to help that individual improve their independence, work and develop on their goals and their skills to be, in another phrase that we use commonly, to remain in the most least restrictive environment possible.
And also they serve as a companion too. I know a lot of
Yeah.
stories where the DSP will go and take the
Mhm.
the client, for lack of a better term, to, a coffee shop or
Oh yeah.
a community event going on.
Hmm.
So they
Yeah.
get out
So
there in the community.
right, absolutely. It's this business is a business of people, and you develop a rapport. We really expect that.
Mhm.
You don't, our folks don't show up in scrubs or things like that. They're, some people may call them a buddy, or some other type of you know name, a life coach even, or something like that. The formal term that we use is a direct support professional, but they're absolutely, we see time and time again, a lot of our individuals, especially when we have a caregiver start to work with them, that they end up working with them for years, and you definitely develop a rapport and potentially even a friendship there. But yeah, going out and just enjoying life together and helping that individual, um, Jillian said, of just going out, maybe going to a coffee shop, going to a local restaurant, or going to a local function or activity. So yeah.
And are
Supported
these
living.
other ones,
Mhm.
we offer some of this service as well, right? Or
Oh yeah, yeah. So and so that's what we'll go on to next. So that some of the other services that we provide, not as frequently as supported living services, because usually that's a daily service that's accessed, but adaptive equipment. And adaptive equipment can vary, can range from anywhere from a shower chair to maybe an electronic wheelchair, stroller, it, really just about anything that we could think of. If there's a barrier for that individual, that can't be accessed through the other forms of insurance, such as Medicaid, Medicare, and such that we mentioned previously, we could potentially request it through adaptive equipment in waivers. So what that adaptive equipment is, the intention for that is to help that individual to be as independent as possible. So if we can associate it with the goals that that individual has in their individualized treatment plan, we can request that. There is a financial cap that we can request up to per year, but it is something that is available on an annual basis. So we'll talk a little bit more about some of those caps and things here in a minute. Some other services that we provide, like we said, so in addition to standard adaptive equipment, there's also vehicle modifications that is sought through adaptive equipment. So a vehicle ramp or some internal features that need to be made. Now, adaptive equipment will not, or CES waiver will not pay for a new van potentially for somebody, but it can pay for the customization of that van. So specialized medical supplies, that's another common service. So think of those materials, those items that you need on a monthly basis, that even maybe you're ordering from Amazon currently and have it on a routine shipment. Maybe you need diapers or wipes, gloves, things like that. Or it could also be supplements, eye drops, just a number of things that you might get from a pharmacy or you found a vendor online. Those could actually be accessed through specialized medical supplies that's ordered on a monthly basis. Supplemental supports, that's a little bit different, an interesting feature that we can provide. It varies in what we can access it for, and as the slide states, it's really kind of emergency based or a sudden change of circumstances that can greatly impact the individual. That can vary anywhere between maybe if it's something that is going to affect the individual's residency and where they're currently living, let's say a freak bug infestation even. We could request and cover the cost of an exterminator to come in and get that home to a standing of where it's adequate and safe and ensures the health and safety of that individual to live in that home. It could also be if someone had to abruptly relocate from a home to a new apartment, maybe to help cover some of those initial costs, down payment on an apartment or something like that. Also, another key feature that individuals seek through supplemental supports is the cost of guardianship. A lot of families don't realize that when you're, especially if you're a child, is the beneficiary. When they turn 18, the state of Arkansas, they become a standard citizen, and there's no guardianship that carries over because they were a minor. And even if you had guardianship papers that indicated they were a minor, that paperwork due to and with their disability, that doesn't carry over once they become an adult. So a lot of families have to, depending on the individual's severity of their disability, they may require somebody to continue being the legal representative for them. And so that's where supplemental supports can come into play. And with the justification and the evidence for that yes, a guardian is appropriate for that individual, we can submit that request and potentially get that paid for or funded through supplemental supports.
Okay. Wow. So yeah, lots of different services.
And there's a few more.
Yeah. We've got more.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. So, and this is kind of the last slide of just an overview. And what Jillian's finding out, I can talk probably all day about waivers, so I'll try to speed things up a little bit. But we'll hit some key ones here, some other common items that we do provide services for. Consultation services. When you're with us for waiver services, we have a community health nurse that helps develop and work with us and our team for an individualized treatment plan. It helps the family and the individual to make sure that staff, those direct care or direct support professionals, are adequately trained on the individual's medications, or can also train that individual on how to take their medications, and help them gain more knowledge and understanding of what they're taking. And that's not just for the individual, it's for the individual, their family, and the staff. And really, the purpose of that is to improve the quality of care that that individual is receiving, and potentially reduce the amount of medications they're on, or reduce even hospitalizations. Behavioral health consultations services, that's for individuals that may have some difficult behaviors and they need some help, and the team needs some help of how to maybe address those behaviors and develop coping skills that they haven't been able to access before. Supported employment. If your individual is wanting to end up seeking gainful employment, there could be a potential where through Waiver, a job coach could help that individual find a job. We would help them find a job, but also supply that job coach to help them at their job. It is separate from our supported living services, but it's very similar in the fact of, just like we have a direct support professional, a DSP, working with them in their home, a job coach will work with them at their job location. So let's see, emergency response systems. I'm sorry, Jillian, go ahead.
Is that in conjunction with our supported employment program that we have? You work with that program?
We do, or we can. So we actually do have our own supported employment department, our program here at Easterseals, and they work with ARS, Arkansas Rehabilitation Services, and they can help with that onboarding, getting somebody going through a discovery and finding a good location for them to work. But there's a time limit of how long that staff can work with the individual. So normally they may get somebody started at a job, but if there's an individual that is going to need ongoing support indefinitely, that's where Waiver would come in.
Waiver comes in. Okay, gotcha.
So emergency response systems, that actually falls under adaptive equipment too, but think of the kind of like the first alert type of things, the personal emergency response services, could even include your home security systems and things like that. We are finding a lot more abilities with this through even just home technologies and enabling technologies as well. So respite care, that is intended for the providing relief to the natural supports, the mom and the dad or whomever. They need a break too, and we get that. And so this allows that direct support professional to come in, and that's it's a little bit different than our standard support living services. This is maybe a little bit longer period of time, maybe a weekend, maybe a couple of days or something like that, to allow mom and dad to go have a weekend vacation or something like that. But they know that their loved one is properly cared for.
Right. That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, very important. Environmental modifications is the next kind of biggest one I'll mention on, and that's similar to adaptive equipment, but like it states, environmental. That is addressing the individual's home, whether it might be an apartment or a home, as long as it's theirs. It could be a ramp into the home, an accessible ramp, door widening, widening the door frames of the home for better access and navigating through. Somebody's using a wheelchair. It also could be some bathroom modifications. Now, we're not HGTV, and it's not a redo my bathroom, but the intent is to make it accessible for the individual. So maybe if your home currently has an insert, shower tub, but you really need a walk-in roll-in shower, they will work to make that accessible for the individual. So those
and
are
it
some
all
other
goes back to helping them be more independent wherever they are.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's one thing that stands out with you all, is that you really meet the individual where they are. And that's a unique thing. And I think for future, that's really where we're headed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is very individualized. As I mentioned before, we develop individualized treatment plans. And so we know, looking at all these services I've just, highlighted, all of those are customizable. They're identified, and some seek more than those. Some individuals need less, and so every plan is different. Every individual is different. So every
Right.
ITP or treatment plan that we make is customized to that individual.
Excellent. Do you want to move on to benefits of waiver?
Yeah. So we can. So what are the benefits of waiver? So there are definitely some individuals that may be in a nursing type facility, or what we call an ICF, an intermediate care facility,
Mhm.
uh, and or even the human development centers here in Arkansas, because the family did not have adequate resources or the ability to care for their loved one in their home. Well, that's where
Because
waiver
they didn't
comes
have
in.
waiver.
Yeah, they didn't have waiver. And waivers really, only been around since the late 80s. I
Okay.
know, again, I'm aging myself with that, but in the grand scheme of things, that hasn't been a long time. Um, so that can allow that individual to move back home or move
Mhm.
into a home in the location where they want to live. It can allow them to live independently, like I said, in their own home, and this
Mhm.
could be anywhere in the state. Um, like I said before, we create specific plans to cover their needs. So, like I was talking about supported living services, we have some individuals that require 24/7 one-on-one care. And then we have some individuals that just require a fraction of that, just a few hours a
Right.
week, perhaps. And so it really depends on what that individual's needs are. And so we have annual meetings with the individual, and if they have a guardian or their representative, whoever they want to participate in that planning meeting will be there, so we can
Mhm.
determine, okay, what are our needs for the next year? And so we also know that life happens and needs change over the years. So you may be a family that has a young child that's in school, and y'all got it pretty well covered right now, and that's great. But there is going to come a time where your child grows and ages and becomes an adult, and maybe they need additional supports, or other life events can happen and change. You know, maybe their abilities do lessen. And so that's what's great about waivers. It can be changed at any time. We can customize it to meet the need of the individual. So
Mhm.
it follows that individual for the rest of their life. Once you get on waiver, you have waiver for the remainder of your life. And so we're with you through that, no matter what those changes may be. Um, some additional things that can benefit is helping access generic services like personal care. That's similar to what we provide, but it's focused more on the daily hygiene and grooming needs of the individual. They can that service is provided in the person's home, strictly there, whereas our services can be in the home but also outside of the home. Um, and another thing, project that we've launched just this past year, and another program that I supervise and assist the director with for that program is called roommate housing.
Mhm.
So this is a new option, a totally new way, an innovative way for us to address the need of residential uh, placement for somebody uh, in a community that they want to live, but allows them to have full choice. So, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of families that their loved one lives with them, but eventually, mom and dad uh, get to a point and stage in their life where they're older, and maybe they can no longer care for their loved one. Or, we all have to understand that we all have a more, unfortunately, we don't live forever. And
Mhm.
what are those extended care plans? And that's where we can come into and help to provide some peace of mind. One of those options is roommate housing, where um, um, the individual, they take a survey if they're interested, uh, and it's kind of an assessment to find out what that person's abilities are, what their inabilities are, their likes, their dislikes, and everything. Create a profile, and with that, we actually use a program that helps us find the compatibility with other individuals out there that are on waiver and are looking for a roommate too, and to help them connect and end up becoming roommates. Now, we can all relate to that in the fact of a lot of us is probably at some point in time in our life we've had a roommate, and the purpose of that is to share the cost, because the cost of living always goes up. It hasn't gone down, and it helps us to live in a maybe in a nicer place, or to cover all the cost of those bills of living in that home. And we see it everywhere. I mean, we even see it on television, the Golden Girls, Friends, and other TV shows like that. So it's really a common thing that we see that we're introducing in the field that we serve. So individuals aren't limited to the type of housing they have access to, where it's just maybe Section 8 governmental housing. These are nice locations, places that I would be happy living in. And they can come together and have a nice home and a nice community. And that community, it can be anywhere in the state. And so we are currently developing that. We've started with a location here in Little Rock, Arkansas, but we're looking at other locations across the state. And it could be in an apartment setting, it could be in a home. It's a program that can be done anywhere in the state is the plan. So, and with
That's
that,
awesome.
yeah, it allows us to address some of the staffing needs, because we all know that, especially after COVID, there's been a huge impact in the workforce out there. And so, especially with caregivers, so this allows us to maybe address some of those staffing needs by the reduction of the amount of staff that we need with individuals living in the same home, the same location. They can access more healthcare, nursing care needs, accessibility needs, getting to where they want to be, where they want to live. Technology, we're introducing technology in the home that helps them be more independent. But we've helped them look into even ways that they can improve their health and nutrition as well. So,
yeah. And then we have the website here for anyone
mm-hmm.
interested in that. It's www.roommatehousing.org. And you can find all sorts of info on that awesome new program that we launched last year, right? Yes. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see. There's two types of waiver slots that we'll talk about. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So,
group home slot.
Right. So, like we said, there's with Medicaid waiver, it's actually it's a resource that you're just not entitled to with just standard Medicaid. You actually have to request it. You have to apply for it. And we'll talk about that application process here in a moment. But once you apply and you are found eligible for waiver services, there are two basically types of wait list or slots that you can get in on. There's the group home waiver wait list, and then there's a standard waiver wait list. So what does that mean? What's a group home slot? So the benefits of this wait list is it's a shorter wait list. You can get into receiving waiver services much quicker. It can be maybe up to 2 years, but usually even less than that if there's availability. But in this case, individuals, for them to come off the wait list, this group home slot is they have to move into a provider owned or ran residential program. And a lot of those are group homes. But what we have done here at Easterseals, we don't have any group homes. But what we have done is, like we were just talking about, is our roommate housing program. And the state has deemed that as a service that an individual can get on the group home waiver wait list and can go straight from there into our roommate housing program. So roommate housing is a lot different. The individual gets to choose who they live with, and we help facilitate that and grow that relationship and where they live. A group home is a provider operated program, residential facility that could be up to 16 beds, maybe 8 males and 8 females. And what we find a lot of times is somebody's in need of somewhere to go. And they just say, hey, I've got a male who is needing a place to live. And that provider says, yeah, I've got a male bed in our group home. So yeah, bring them on over here. And obviously people have benefited from that due to extreme needs, but there's no choice. There's no options really provided in that. And so that's why we're providing the roommate housing option. So, but it
Choice
is a
and
faster route.
yep. Back to that
So,
choice thing.
yeah. Now, the one thing that is nice, once you do move into that residential setting, once you're there, after that point, if something happens, something changes, hey, this isn't working out, or maybe just life changes and you have the ability to move somewhere else, or maybe move back home with mom and dad, or whatever it may be. You can do that. You don't have to live in that group home or that residential setting for the rest of your life. But you do have to at least enter into one to start receiving your services. So
Well, that's good to know. Yeah.
mhm,
So you're not stuck to one place.
correct.
Um,
Yeah.
okay. The second one,
Yeah.
regular
So
waiver slot. Ooh,
yeah,
7 to 10 years.
the standard waiver slot. And so historically speaking, over the especially the last 7 years, the wait list has really been about a 10-year wait list for somebody once they apply to once they are off the wait list and are able to receive services. There's just been that many people on the wait list, and the funding hadn't been there. Now, there has been changes in the state. Our former governor made some big initiatives to back in 2021, all that were on the wait list, and there was about 3,500 people that were on the waiver wait list at that time at December of 2021, that they were to be off of that wait list by this year, the end of 2024. So there's been a lot of movement happening, and we've definitely seen it here at Easterseals, but that has definitely changed the history that we know of with that wait list. Now, does it take some time, or will it take some time? Sure, it will. But the benefits of having a waiver for the remainder of your life is unmeasurable. So I highly recommend any and everyone to apply as soon as you can. It doesn't matter if you need it right now, if you've got your child and they're just in preschool and you're covered right now. It may
Go ahead
take
and
some
get on it.
years. Go ahead and get on it. And then when your name comes up, okay. And then your provider, if it were to be us here at Easterseals, we're going to work with you. We're not going to impose ourselves. You let us know how much you need or how little you need, and that's what we'll provide. So,
Okay. Excellent. All right. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. Applying for waiver.
yeah. So I like to be fully transparent with y'all. So the application process can be intimidating. It can be a bit daunting. But like I said, the benefits greatly exceed the time and effort that you have to put into it. So we'll go into this next slide and we'll talk about, well, how do you do this? So DHS,
And you all are there to help, correct?
yes,
Walk
we can
families through it. Yeah.
yeah, and we do what we can a long time ago, before the current waiver world that we're in now, and with the passes, and we'll talk about those in a minute. We actually had we could have the waiver packets, the application packets that you could walk into a local provider. We no longer have those. We can't do that. And part of that is the state wants to keep do better at tracking the applications that are out there so people don't slip through the cracks. So what you have to do now is you can call DDS at the number provided here, or you can go to this web address and request DDS services. And when you fill out the information that they're asking there, they will mail you that CES waiver application packet. You will fill out that packet, and I highly, highly stress that you make a copy of that packet for your records before
Very
you send it
advice.
in. Right.
For lots of things.
So some of the things that they'll ask for, there may be some forms that your general practitioner, your or pediatrician, whoever is the PCP, primary care physician for your loved one, they may have to fill some forms out or sign off on some things there to identify what their disability is. Because a couple of things, how do you qualify for waiver? Well, the qualifications for waiver is you have to be diagnosed with an intellectual or developmental disability by the age of 22. So through the age of 21, you had to have been diagnosed with one of those types of disabilities. That could be an intellectual disability, Down syndrome. It could be autism spectrum disorder. or epilepsy or seizure disorder, or basically there's many disorders that or disabilities that we find fall under those subcategories as well. So if you meet that criteria, you can apply. You would qualify for Medicaid waiver services. Uh, so with that, like I said, your physician is going to have to support that. You may also have to provide a psychological evaluation. So if your loved one is still in public schools, your school would have a copy of that, their most recent psychological evaluation. But if not, you may have to go to a local provider to have an IQ test, psychological test done, as well as an adaptive functional test. So their adaptive capabilities.
Okay.
So those are some of the other documents that you may need to supply when you're applying for CES waiver.
And those
So
are
like
all
it's
listed
all,
or
yeah, it's
the
all identified
information's
in
in
that
there.
packet there.
Yeah.
But like Jillian said too, I've never not helped anybody that has reached out to us or a department that have been inquiring or needed some guidance or help. We do what we can because we know the need is there, and we just want to try to help everybody get access to this service that they desperately need. So after you fill it out, you made the copy, you mail it back to them. We recommend, follow up with them in this sequence, in 30 days, check in on your application status, 30, 60, 90 days. Within that time frame, they should have received it. You should get a response, and you can, like I said there, you can call the number to check on your status or email. And once you get identified that yes, you are eligible for waiver services, the next thing, if you go back to that previous slide, Jillian, is an assessment will need to be done. So currently there's a third party vendor for the state called Optum that comes and does a functional assessment on your loved one just to find out, get a full, clear understanding of who they are, what their needs are, again, what their capabilities are, what their area of needs are, what supports do they have, what supports do they not have. And then once they complete that assessment, then you will be fully approved for waiver services to be moved on to the waiver wait list, and then you'll be attributed or assigned a pass. So what is a pass? PASSC, that's an acronym that stands for Provider-Led Arkansas Shared Savings Entity.
I am
That's a big mouthful.
impressed you know all that.
Yeah, I've had to say it a few times. What that means for y'all is they're basically an insurance company. They're a managed care organization that helps manage Medicaid for the state of Arkansas. So individuals that move to the CES waiver services or on the wait list, they may currently be on state plan Medicaid, maybe TEFRA, maybe our kids or whatever it may be. That will actually transition from state plan Medicaid to this PASS entity. And there are four of them. There's Arkansas Total Care, there is Empower Healthcare Solutions, Care Source, and Summit Community Care. So remember, just think of them as they are an insurance company and they're operating as the representative for the state for that Medicaid funding. So you would be assigned to one of those, and just like with any enrollment into something, there is a period where you could choose to, maybe you learn more about that pass and you find that the benefits with another pass, you like them better and you want to change providers. You can do that in a time frame once your individual has been assigned to that pass initially. And then each year there is an open enrollment during the month of October, where every year maybe you're unsatisfied with the pass you're with, or you've lost access to maybe some services or healthcare services that you had before. You can elect to change passes during open enrollment with no headaches, no question at all. There is the ability to change outside of open enrollment, but then that makes it a little bit more difficult. You have to definitely provide just cause of what your current pass is not providing that the other pass can provide for you or your loved one. So, so that's a pass in a nutshell. So they handle the Medicaid. for you there. You would have your own pass ID card in addition to your Medicaid card. And so they would be the insurance provider basically for all of their medical needs, which would include CES waiver services. So, all right.
All right.
What we got here?
Moving on. So like you said, check on your status.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
can call that
So,
number, the website, or email.
absolutely. So we do recommend that y'all do that just to make sure they did receive it. If they say that, and sometimes the squeaky wheel does get the oil, but just imagine there can be a lot of squeaky wheels too. So I do probably recommend that you probably offer a little bit of grace with that DHS office. There are some good workers there. I've worked with them for several years. But like we said, just to recap, the group home slot, if you go that route, it could be the turnaround time can be 6 to 24 months, maybe even, I'm not going to guarantee it, but could be even less time than that, where we've seen with some of our folks that have transitioned to us to move into our roommate housing program. The regular waiver slots historically have been, I won't even say 7 years, more like 10 years has been the average. But like I said, especially as we get past this year, of all these individuals that have been coming off the waiver wait list, it'll be interesting to see kind of what that actual time frame will be moving forward.
Right.
Because I know I believe they're going to be working to try to keep that under steadily moving those folks instead of it climbing up to what it was before. So another key feature, like we stated, once you they deem that you're after that Optum assessment and you're eligible for waiver, CS waiver services, you get moved to the wait list to wait, pull that, grab a number and wait your turn basically. But while you're waiting for your turn to fully come up and you can receive full waiver services, there is one of the passes that is actually providing a limited amount of services for individuals on the waiver wait list instead of just care coordination. And we'll talk about care coordination here in a moment. So that is another feature that if you go down that road where you can inquire further about that is what type of services does your pass provide while you're on the wait list? So a good question to have in your pocket.
Okay. On to questions.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. I've got a list of questions here that your staff frequently gets.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I know we've been over some of it already, but we'll just, good to recap and go over it. So who would you say, Zach, benefits most from waiver?
Who benefits most from waiver? Well, directly would be that individual that does qualify for waiver services. Indirectly, a number of people, and that first indirect would be the family.
Right.
We see a lot of families. I've been in a lot of meetings with families that were on that wait list for 10 years. I think of one that their daughter that applied when she was 6 years old, and at 16, they were finally getting to meet with us, and the mother was in tears because they were just so exhausted it is our responsibility. We care for our loved ones, but it can be a very difficult task to provide all of that care. And so helping the family involvement is very a big role in this too. So the individual absolutely flourishes, but the family does too.
And like you said, because there is that wait list, it's important to apply sooner than later so that if there is a long wait, you're just that much closer to getting it.
Absolutely. We see, we benefit too. I'm not going to lie. Our managers and us, we do get the benefit. It is very rewarding to be in this field. A lot of places you can put in your work and you don't see the results, but we know, and I tell my team, everything that you do directly affects those that we serve. And so when we get that adaptive equipment, when we
Mm-hmm.
get those additional services, get that ramp into the home, and we see the smile on our individuals' faces and the families, that joy that they have, I mean, it's contagious, and it
Right.
definitely fills our cup to keep on going. So,
Right. And then we talked about the wait list. Someone might ask, well, how do I get on the wait list? And you
yeah,
have to apply first, correct?
yeah. So just to recap on that, just a reminder, it's not a standard service in Medicaid. It
Right.
is a service that you have to apply for. And so, like we said, the number that we provided and the web address that we provided, that is how you I would best recommend for you to contact and get that process started to request the application. Sometimes even walking into your local DHS office, unfortunately, we found sometimes as much as they do there, there's so much to all the services that fall under DHS that some individuals may not be even too familiar about waiver, CES waivers. So that's why we just give this information directly to y'all to go straight to the Department of Developmental Disabilities, and they can get you what you need.
Right. Um, and then if I'm a family and I say, I want Easterseals as my provider, how do I go about choosing my provider?
Sure. So once you get on the waiver wait list, you're going to and be attributed to one of the passes. One of the first things you're actually going to be assigned is a care coordinator, and I touched on that earlier. So a care coordinator is really another term for that would be a case manager.
Mhm.
So they're going to be involved with your loved one's life for the duration that or for however long you remain with that pass or wherever. And every pass has care coordinators, a slew of them. So you're going to have a care coordinator assigned to your case. They would do routine check-ins, but they're going to be over to help coordinate all of your healthcare needs that you have. So once you become fully eligible, your number gets called and you get to come off the wait list and receive waiver services.
Mhm.
That care coordinator is going to meet with you and provide you a list of providers that cover that service the area in which you live. Some providers are statewide, some are not. And so each list is customized to the county in which you live. Like I said, Easterseals, over really just the past couple of years, we became statewide. So we've historically been a central Arkansas provider, but now we're fully statewide. And now we are serving individuals in all corners of the state. So you would tell that care coordinator who you would like to choose as your waiver provider. It could be us, Easterseals, but it could be somebody else. But that is your choice.
Mhm. Great.
So with
Okay.
that, once you almost forgot, once you tell your care
Oh,
coordinator, they will actually get in touch with that provider. Should it be us, they will contact us and let us know that we have been selected as a provider of choice for your loved one. So
okay. Very good. And I'll just share my screen again and I will show uh, ways to get in touch with you all.
absolutely.
So here we go. We got Zach, who's the program director. Jacqueline is
We actually need
other
to
program.
update that apparently.
Oh, yeah, I know. I guess
Yeah.
y'all
So,
are
but that's
you're
okay. The job
you're the
titles
head
are
honcho, and then
not
and
quite,
then Jacqueline.
but
And then Brad is over all of our adult services, which encompass the
mhm,
roommate housing waiver, our Center for Training Wellness, which is a good question too, Zach. A lot of the folks that go to our adult day center use your services too. So
sure. Yeah.
it's it's interesting how our programs
hmm
overlap. And like we always say, like you said, once you're on waiver, it's a continuum of care. But also when you're at Easterseals, there's a continuum of care
hmm
from infancy to adulthood.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we do have a lot of our folks that are in our waiver program that also attend our Center for Training Wellness, our adult day program. We have some that are also involved in our private school, the academy, or even our preschool. Not many of that age, and some that even have transitioned to us from our children's residential program. With that said, Waiver, we are a separate service type, delivery type, and so we actually do serve individuals that may not attend our own day program. That's not a requirement. We actually have some that attend other day programs across the state in Central Arkansas and other areas. Because obviously we just have one CTW here in Little Rock, but like I said, we do operate statewide, and so
Right.
we do coordinate those services to make sure that we're falling in line and there's a continuity of care with the rest of the services that you do access in your hometown.
And would you say most of the people we serve are adults in Waiver right
Um,
now?
yes, I would. And really the fact of the matter for that is because of that wait list and how historically it's been a 10-year wait list. Like I said, we do have some children, and we've had more children here recently because of those coming off the wait list.
Mhm.
But historically speaking, it is adult. But we service anybody from a child to end of life.
All right.
Yeah.
And one of the purposes that we'd like to share this information is a lot of the children programs may not know about Waiver and that it's something available. There's other programs that they're well aware of, like TEFRA, other, you probably know better than I, but a
Sure.
lot of times they may not know that Waiver is also available to them and their children. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
now, if someone gets on Waiver when they're a child, does that also carry on through their, like, once they're on it, or do they have to reapply
Yeah.
once they're an adult?
Yeah. Once you're on it, you're on it. It
Okay.
stays with you for the rest of your life. Really, what would cause you to no longer be on Medicaid waiver? There are some eligibility things, and it's really the same criteria that you would have to just to be on standard Medicaid financial requirements,
Okay.
as well as it could also be you could choose to discontinue waiver services. The individual, you do actually have that right to choose that. I wouldn't
Okay.
recommend it, but you could do that. The other,
But you're not
obviously,
kicked off.
common thing, yeah, you're not kicked off.
Okay.
The other way would be if you were to move out of the state of Arkansas.
Right. You'd
CES
have
waiver,
to.
yeah, Medicaid waiver, it's an Arkansas Medicaid program. Now, there's other
Gotcha.
states that have it or it's similar to it, but if you move out of the state of Arkansas, you would no longer be receiving waiver services. And if you move back, you would have to reapply.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, wealth of information here. Here's how to
Yeah.
contact our waiver department. And I'll just throw up this slide again so that people can
Mhm.
see the phone number and the email for who to email at DHS. And
Absolutely.
then the website, it's a long one. And you could
It is.
probably just Google DHS waiver
Yeah,
too, I would
it's
imagine.
sometimes that DHS website is a little bit difficult to navigate, but it can be found. I found it myself. That's how I found that web address.
Yeah.
So it can be done.
Yeah.
But like I said,
And,
at the end of the day, we know we've poured a lot of information to you in this past hour. But that's when we provided our own contact information because we know there's so much information out there and we've really just, touched the tip of the iceberg. Feel free to reach out to us. You can also reach out to our ESA waiver intakes at eastersealsar.com. But any inquiries that you have, we're happy to help and provide as much information as we can.
and these resources and information is also on our website at eastersealsar.com.
Yep.
So Zach, thank you for meeting with me today, and
Sure,
we
it's my
hope that we
pleasure.
were helpful, and y'all just contact Zach and his team and he'll help you out wherever he can.
Thank you, everyone.